The tide has turned yet again this Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. Please like and share and please subscribe. After yesterday's massive relief rally in the stock markets are facing a reality check as the Iran war enters a dangerous new phase, moving the battlefield to the digital grid, with U.S. stock futures turning red and the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, delivering a tough talk ultimatum. The 24-hour countdown we discussed yesterday has evolved into a multi-domain crisis. In today's update, I break down the critical intersection of cyber warfare, stagnant labor data, and why the Dow Jones Industrial Average 50,000 level is suddenly looking like a distant memory. My goodness. So I go over geopolitics, the cyberkinetic convergence, the Tehran, Iran, Persian reprieve has taken a dark turn. New reports confirm that while missiles have paused, Iranian-aligned groups have launched a great epic battle in cyberspace. My goodness. Targeting infrastructure. U.S. financial institutions and tech companies have been declared legitimate targets, with coordinated attacks hitting logistics and command networks. My goodness, people. The global reach, a major breach, has disrupted global operations, providing this conflict is no longer contained in the Middle East. The stock market here in the U.S., in the West, the Monday surge that we talked about yesterday was short-lived. The S&P has fallen today, losing about 0.5% this morning as AI, artificial intelligence sector fatigue, meets or converges with war-related inflation. Sector losers, consumer and industrial stocks like Estee Lauder and Bloom Energy are leading the decline as cost-sensitive areas feel the squeeze of oil at $100 a barrel. Incredible news, people. This is what we're going over today. I designed a script, using AI to kind of look at today's news headlines. $100 oil. Who would have thought? And the Straits of Hormuz are shut down. So let's see where stocks fall on Iran war that drags on. Oil, crude oil, is at $92, spot 45, up $4.50 approximately. Gold is off, more on that later. The Fed's shadow, Jerome Powell's latest comments, confirm the Federal Reserve will stay higher for longer as private sector job creation has essentially hit a wall. Have you been displaced by AI, the artificial intelligence? Leave comments below if you have. Just incredible news reels we have today. Wars, rumors of wars, stock market volatility, the VIX is way up. We're seeing, news about, power grids, and then the next day it's peace, and we don't know what to believe here on our news desk. One day, things are changing very rapidly in this Middle East conflict. So that's what we have. So check out my ebook below. I recently penned an ebook on AI prompt engineering masterclass. Also on Canva, if you use Canva, I designed a course for it. And then also Mid-Journey masterclass and DeepSeek masterclass. So these are the news stories today. A domestic crisis, TSA, and transport. It's not just a foreign war, it's domestic friction. Some have argued that there's a civil war already going on here in the U.S. A partial government shutdown has cut funding for TSA agents, crippling U.S. airports and stalling domestic commerce. The inflation lag, wholesale energy prices surged 2.3% this morning. And now we're seeing a scary PPI, the Producer Price Index, trickle up into the grocery bills and paying at the pump at the gas pump. And my videos, of course, are for informational, educational purposes. Only read the risk disclosure below. But stock market 2026, cyber warfare, Iran crisis, Fed Powell, inflation, geopolitics, stock market corrections and crashes, and the S&P 500. So where are we at, in this econometric cycle? So, and here's the thing, there's something going on now called PE, private equity. So the relief rally yesterday was all in the news, but there's a quieter but potentially more systematic private equity and private credit crisis is coming to a head today. The PE industry, private credit and private equity, is currently trapped between high interest rates and what is known as a liquidity desert that has made traditional exits nearly impossible. I have a summary. Private credit defaults are scary. The most urgent news today involves Goldman Sachs addressing financial crisis spike in private credit defaults. Here's a risk. Well-publicized struggles with major firms like KKR, Apollo, Blue Owl Capital, Blackstone, and BlackRock have stoked fears that a 1.7 trillion private credit market is reaching the breaking point. Here's the verdict. Goldman Sachs analysts argue that even a 10% default rate compared to 2008-09 would only shave 20 to 50 basis points off of US GDP. However, the market remains opaque and investors are fleeing at the first sign of trouble. They're fleeing, but they can't exit. There's no liquidity. So it says DPI is the new IRR. The mantra for 2026 has officially shifted. Limited partners, LPs, no longer care about on-paper returns or the internal rate of return. They are demanding distributed to paid-in capital DPI, actual cash back, and there's a liquidity trap. Exit velocity for the older fund vintages backdated, to 2017 have stalled because private equity firms can't sell companies for the high valuations they promised. They are holding on to assets much longer than ever. And they've created something too that's interesting too. It's artificial liquidity to appease angry investors, most of whom are accredited investors. The PE firms are using continuation vehicles, it's called, basically selling an asset to themselves in a new fund. This artificial liquidity now accounts for 20% of all PE activity. So they're creating a new scam to bail out the old scam, and this PE activity of doing so is up. It used to do so only 6%, but now it's 20%. So the higher for longer reality check. So the tailwinds that fueled PE boom, zero interest rates and expanding multiples, are officially done. Debt servicing, the floating rate debt used to fuel buyouts years ago, is now cannibalizing the cash flow of portfolio companies. The margin squeeze, with PPI, Producer Price Index, jumping due to energy costs and grocery and food costs, PE-backed companies are seeing their margins evaporate just as their interest payments spike. The perfect storm. So, amid the crisis, there's firms are pivoting towards data transparency to gain trust. New tools. They launched new database covering 10,000 PE funds, real-time benchmarking. They're going to, I guess, mark to market these assets. Some of them are trading at cents of the dollar. It reminds me of long-term capital management combined with the too big to fails and the bailouts to infinity back in 2008-09. Here we go again. So that's what we have for today, folks. Running about 10 minutes, but what do you think? Look at all these different news stories. Is the stock market ever going to regain 50,000 for the Dow Jones Industrial Average? The VIX is up at 24.75. The Dixie's stronger. You know, how long is that going to last? The 10-year, got to watch the yield on the 10-year. You know, bond yields have been increasing. The bonds are dipping big time. So stocks are up, hyperinflated. They're starting to roll over. Are we going to have a bear market? Silver has stabilized at about $70 an ounce. Gold is stabilized at $4,400 an ounce. This is what we have. My goodness. Glencore PLC is up. It's an ADR. Big time news on Glencore. Stocks that are active: Tesla, NVIDIA, Micron Technologies, Microsoft, SanDisk, Palantir, Circle, Amazon. Man, stocks are active. Circle, CRCL is off 19%. So that's what we have today, people. You know, is this end times? I'm a prepper. You know, I check the weather every day. There's drought conditions here in North Florida. It's the worst since 14 years, but I use my weather app that I own and created and coded called weathermist.com. Agentic AI combines together with meteorology and weather forecasting. So check out weathermist.com. I'll check my weather today. It updates dynamically and doesn't have any latency. It uses the agentic AI to go out and give AI alerts based on real dynamic, not dated information. No active weather alerts at this time. It says to stay hydrated and wear sunscreen if you'll be outside for extended periods. 78 degrees today, 46% humidity, 10-mile-an-hour winds. The UV index is at 7.45 and no rain forecast. That's on my app called weathermist.com. And check out the links below for weathermist.com. So my trading plan, let's look at what's going on here. Let's see. Look at stocks and everything. I own stocks. Precious metals are dipping. Again, I'd like to see silver bullion retest $55 an ounce and break that support, which is now resistance type thing, and then crater all the way back down to $27 an ounce, and then go to 100% downtrend again. If it did so, then I'd be backing up the truck. But right now, I'm backing up the truck into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. Here, I'll look at the futures here. Performance leaders, TTM, over the last 12 months. So, I mean, here we go. Takes a second to dial this in. But, okay. Here's what we have. Okay, silver has a positive 98 positive weighted alpha, but it's not pumping anymore, starting to peel off. So what commodity do I want to own that's at the bottom of the list? Well, it's cocoa, orange juice, and Bitcoin. So chocolate, orange juice, and Bitcoin. So of the commodities I want to own, Bitcoin is the worst oversold as far as its negative weighted alpha. So I'm backing the truck up to purchase Bitcoin, people. That's what we have. Looking at the currencies here on Bitcoin. I do my own research here live. Had a nice trade on PayPal and then Super Microcomputer this last week. Bitcoin BTC USD is the greatest negative weighted alpha of the commodity. It's off about 2% today and is 100% strong sell with the strongest short-term outlook. This is on bar chart. So that's on Bitcoin. So I'm a seller of my silver bags and then backing the truck up to purchase Bitcoin. We'll look at Ethereum. Where's ETH at? ETH I might do a live trade here. Run it about 15 minutes, just a short video today. ETH, 80% sell, strong sell. So Bitcoin has more reason for me to want to purchase it versus 100% downtrend versus 80% sell. So I want to purchase Bitcoin stronger than I do that. Now let's look at XRP Ripple. I've had 4 trading cycles this last month in XRP Ripple, profitable. Now I'm starting to buy the dip again in Ripple. Well, let's look, where's it at? It's 100% downtrend. So I'm a buyer of more progressive of Bitcoin. Let it come to me as everyone else is capitulating and selling it, and then backing the truck up in Bitcoin and in XRP Ripple. So part of the Ripple army here. So I look at CNN here real quick. Let's just see on the left what's going on. GOP proposes plan to end DHS shutdown, causing long airport lines, but obstacles remain. Israel casts doubts on Iran diplomacy, trading strikes with Tehran. So this is what we have on CNN. Let's look at Fox News to keep it balanced, Look at the left and the right. On the right, we have Trump says we're dealing with the right people in Iran after previous leaders were offed. So we're getting new diplomacy. And if you look at the news on both sides and even on Al Jazeera, Iranian newspapers and things, they're saying they've had no talks and they don't want any diplomacy. So you can't really, you don't know what to believe. So just kind of look at this news. I think it's going to be a long, protracted war comparable to like the Vietnam police action from 1968 to 1974. I barely remember that, but in my youth I remember the Vietnam and knew lots of people as I got older who had served in the Vietnam. So that's what we have today, folks. Like and share. So my trading plan today is buying the dippy dip in Bitcoin and XRP. I'll DCA such, and then I'll also set the pivot points. And then also looking at SPY ETF and the blockchain ETFs. But it's kind of quiet on the newsreels. I mean, it's dramatic and things, but it's, waiting for the next big news stories always. So like and share, everyone, about 18 minutes. Have a super wonderful, great day. Got new glasses from Costco. Look at this. My gargoyle lenses and frames. XRP. So I say this every day. I give thanks for my abundant supply now manifested. I have it now. So I manifested that I needed new glasses, and sure enough, I get brand new glasses. New lenses, transition lens. So thanks, Costco. You did great work. I really appreciate it. With that, everyone, have an awesome, great day, and like and share, and tell me what you think about weathermist.com. Thanks.